Hey team, welcome to the numbers game. I'm Coach T, and in this tutorial, we'll be solving for unknown variables of a density function given the expected value. Let's get started. Our example says, given the density function f of x equals a plus bx squared between 0 and 1, determine a and b such that the mean is 2 over 3. Now keep in mind that the mean is the same thing as the expected value. Now jumping right into this, the first thing that we need to do is take the integral of our density function and set that equal to 1. So we're taking the integral, and we were given bounds 0 and 1. And we're taking the integral of our density function, a plus bx squared, with respect to x. And again, we're setting this equal to 1. So there's a couple of things I want to do before we actually start to integrate. The first thing is I want to give each of these terms their own integral. So that's going to be the integral from 0 to 1 of a with respect to x plus the integral from 0 to 1 of bx squared with respect to x. Now keep in mind, because we're integrating with respect to x, a and b serve as constants here. So the next thing that I'll do is move the constants to the outside of their integrals. So we have a time the integral from 0 to 1 of 1 with respect to x plus b time the integral from 0 to 1 of x squared with respect to x. So we have a time the integral of 1, which equals x from 0 to 1, plus b time the integral of x squared, which equals x cubed over 3 from 0 to 1. Plugging in our bounds, we get a plus b over 3. And initially, we set this integral equal to 1, so this equals 1. So I'm going to take a moment to pause here to explain what I'm doing. So what I'm trying to do is get two linear equations because we have two variables that we're solving for here, a and b. Now we were able to come up with our first linear equation by taking the integral of our density function and setting it equal to 1. Hence, we got a plus b over 3 equals 1. That's our first linear equation. Now we're going to get our second linear equation by solving for our expected value. So let's jump into that. To find our expected value, we take the integral from 0 to 1 of our density function, a plus bx squared, and then we multiply that time x, and we're integrating with respect to x. Now keep in mind, in our original problem, we were given the mean as 2 over 3. So that means that we already know our expected value equals 2 over 3. So now we're going to follow that process that we just did. We're going to integrate this. So the first thing that I'll do is distribute x to get the integral from 0 to 1 of ax plus bx cubed. Next, I'll give each of these terms their own integral and then factor out the constants, which gives us a time the integral from 0 to 1 of x plus b time the integral from 0 to 1 of x cubed. Integrating, we get a time the integral of x, which equals x squared over 2 from 0 to 1, plus b time the integral of x cubed, which equals x raised to 4, over 4 from 0 to 1. Plugging in our bounds, we get a over 2 plus b over 4. And initially, this integral was set equal to 2 over 3. So at this point, we have a pretty solid linear system. We have two linear equations and two variables that we're solving for. So now we can begin to solve for a and b. So we're going to solve for a and b using the substitution method. But before we do that, I'm going to kind of rework both of these functions because I don't want to work with fractions. So I'm going to get stuff out of the denominators. Let's start with a plus b over 3 equals 1. I'm going to multiply both sides times 3 which gives us a new function of 3a plus b equals 3. Now with our other function, I'm going to multiply both sides times 4. And that'll give us 2a plus b equals 8 over 3. And then we'll multiply both sides times 3 to get 6a plus 3b equals 8. Now we can start substituting. We can rearrange this so this says b equals 3 minus 3a. Now we're going to plug this into 6a plus 3b equals 8. That is 6a plus 3 times 3 minus 3a equals 8. This simplifies to 6a plus 9 minus 9a equals 8. 6a minus 9a equals negative 3a. And 8 minus 9 equals negative 1. So finally we see that a equals 1 over 3. Okay, so we've got a, now let's solve for b. Here it says b equals 3 minus 3a. That is b equals 3 minus 3 times 1 over 3. Simplifying, we get 3 minus 1. And then we see that b equals 2. And there you have it. We were able to solve for unknown variables given a density function and an expected value. If this video was helpful for you, give it a thumbs up, like the video, and subscribe to the channel for more math tutorials. I'm Coach T, and thanks for watching The Numbers Game.